Everybody smiles in the same language. A smile, let your light come shining through.
Welcome to the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow podcast. I'm Sandra M., coming to you from Santa Fe, New Mexico, the land of enchantment. I interview people from all parts of the world about what happiness means to them. What are they in love with? In each episode, we'll give you a key to happiness to include in your life. And of course, we'll play a happy tune from my live Celebrate Happiness Roadshow.
A smile doesn't cost you anything.
Today we're talking with Kenny LaCome from Taos, New Mexico. As a teenager, Kenny followed his passion for motorcycle racing by working in a motorcycle shop, which led him to motocross motorcycle racing and becoming a professional motorcycle road racer. However, a 1983 motorcycle crash while racing in Aspen, Colorado, left him a paraplegic from a spinal cord injury. Kenny transitioned into pioneering in the world of adaptive sports and adaptive skiing equipment. He was granted a U.S. patent on a sit-ski device for alpine skiing, on which he competed at the Paralympic Winter Games in Salt Lake City, Utah in 2002 as the U.S. representative. Kenny has been advocating for health and wellness for the last 35 years and is currently a certified Living Foods Health Educator. Over the last 10 years, he has been studying and practicing personal development with the goal of servicing humanity as a personal development coach. Welcome, Kenny. I'm very excited to talk to you about happiness and what happiness means to you in your life. Could you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, yes, I appreciate the opportunity to be here for sure. And what happiness is to Kenny is definitely being in gratitude makes a world of difference. So I appreciate that aspect of life, knowing that I have a choice to be in gratitude, and that brings so much happiness that in itself, and also knowing thyself with a capital S is happiness in itself.
Wow. Could you elaborate when you say knowing yourself? What does that mean? I'm sure it means a lot of different things to different people, to our listeners, but what does it mean to you? Would you like to share that?
Please. Yes. So basically, how I've come to be aware of this is I'm able to change the belief from believing to knowing. And how I've been able to know that is coming from a place of consciousness. And to me, that's where it's at. Being in a place of unconsciousness, you're simply believing, you're not knowing. And that's how I feel about it.
Wow, that's interesting. So coming from a place of consciousness allows you to actually know yourself, right? As opposed to believe I'm this or believe I'm that or something that, so when you believe, would you say you're talking about something outside of yourself? I believe in whatever it is, but when you know, it comes from the inside. Am I right or wrong? What's your thought?
Yes, exactly. It does. It comes from the inside. It sure does.
So would you say happiness then comes from the inside? I always like to tell people happiness is an inside job.
Yes, it is. It is. It is from the inside of us. It's all within us, no doubt. Mm-hmm. Anything external to me is simply superficial. because we're focusing on, what we call materialism, objects, things of that nature. And when we go within, that's presence and awareness.
Yeah, you're just throwing these terms out like everybody understands. So we need to actually define it. So when you go within, that's presence and awareness. So which one of those you want to start with? Awareness?
Yes, I'll start with awareness. Yes, and awareness to thyself is consciousness. That's awareness, is consciousness. And so that's what I know. And consciousness is here, and it's what brings joy and happiness. That in itself is something that's the intelligence of the universe.
Wow.
And presence to me is simply being present with what is. As you hear it said so much in these day and times that it's being in the now. Well, we're already in the now. We're already in the now, and the now is what it is. Like right now, there's no having to be in the now. The now is here.
Right.
So
people are not in the now, so to speak, because they don't recognize that now is here.
That's a good way to look at it. And basically, the way I'd say it is we distract ourselves from that place of presence. Simply being in a state of stillness. It's not like completely quieting yourself down. It's simply just being still and being in the moment without distracting yourself or letting the distractions come in.
Wow. I'm wondering if, and when I did read your bio, you were a motorcycle racer, and then now you also do, I don't know if you still do, but this alpine downhill skiing in a sit ski device, right?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if both of those activities actually train you or make you be in the moment, because you can't do those kinds of things without being in the moment, can you?
Yes, you can, but you're opening yourself up to a much higher risk. And so by being in the moment, yes, you're able to. It's better to be present with it and more focused, and that makes a world of difference in itself.
Right.
Yeah, and how I look at being focused, say if you're a motorcycle rider, racer, if you're a sit ski racer, stand-up racer, whatever it is, you want to be focused with what's in front of you. You don't have time to be looking what's on the side or this or that. I mean, it's about staying focused on what's in front of you. And that's where it's at.
So how does that apply when you're not doing motorcycling or skiing? Or I've been watching Simone Biles in the Olympics. Have you been watching her?
A little bit.
Well, I mean, I would imagine to get where she is, you have to have that focus and looking at what's right in front of you. And I actually saw her say, I've got this. I've got this. She was mouthing those words before she started her routine.
That's it. That's also the confidence, and the confidence comes through practice. That's the behind the scenes kind of stuff that they don't show on TV. I mean, it's all the behind the scenes, the work, the dedication to be devoted, and whatever it is, nutritionally, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. It's all those aspects that get you to have that type of skill and confidence.
So then when we're talking about everyday life, where we're not necessarily doing a very difficult gymnastic routine or coming down a steep hill at the speed of light, or however you would say it, but everyday life, how do we apply these skills of being aware, having a knowingness about us all the time, and being present? Because I do see in your bio that you are a Living Foods Health Educator, so I would imagine that has something to do with it, just keeping your body in tune and what you actually eat and the energy involved in that, or the energy that is a result of eating the right foods. Let's start with that.
Join Sandra M. for her live performance of the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow, a toast to love and happiness in life, an uninhibited musical adventure guaranteed to awaken your happiness vibe. Celebrate with upbeat rhythms, love songs, and fun stories, some told by you in the audience. Sandra's musical guest and accompanist, Todd Lowry, sings his hopeful and happy originals. To book Sandra M. and the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow, email sandra@sandramcknight.com. Celebrate happiness with Sandra M.
Okay, that's a great place to start. So yes, what I've come to know in years, decades of focusing on nourishment, nutrition, like basically how I see eating today is eat for nourishment, things that are nourishing, rather than just eating just to eat because you feel the sensation of being hungry. So to me, it's about eat something that's nourishing to your mind and your body, your spirit, and do that. If we simply come from a place of just focusing on eating because we have to, then that brings more of an energy illusion. But when you come from a place of self-care, then you're incorporating what it is to take care of oneself.
I'm sorry, did you say that if you're just eating from a place of, what did you say, illusion, ILLUSION?
Yes, what I've learned is an energy illusion. When you're simply focusing on the highly processed foods, they're deficient in enzymes, minerals, proteins, things of that nature. And so not only that, they're not really supplying much to the gut microbiome either. And so you want to eat more. You'd want to eat more what I would call living foods, foods that are living in their state of living, that come out of the ground, that we grow in our gardens, that you can also do it in a form that's sprouted, what we call microgreens today as well, growing different grasses as well, which I've done for decades. But that also provides much mental clarity, physical energy. It also contributes to the healing of the body as well. And that's what we're lacking today, is simply not nourishing the body to assist it in our healing.
What is an example of a living food? Could you tell us a couple of foods that you would consider living foods? Are they raw? Can they be steamed?
Living foods is something that you pull fresh out of your garden, that's still in its living state, and also that's a sprout is also in its living state. Microgreens are also in the living state, things like that. And yes, you can still steam vegetables slightly, and they'll still have some life in them as well. I'm not going to put that all together, but if you cook these vegetables down, that changes the state of its liveliness.
So to segue from using living foods for nourishing your body and your spirit, you said, and your mind, I also see in your bio that you have gone over the last 10 years, have been studying and also practicing personal development. Would you like to let us know a little bit about that?
Okay.
Because we're nourishing what? When we're dealing with personal development, we're nourishing not just our body, but our sense of growth and where we're going in the world, right? And what we feel our personal purpose is.
What I like about personal growth is there's no time for boredom.
Love that. Personal growth, no time for boredom. And there's so many people who tell me all the time, oh, I'm just so bored. Do you want to go to a movie or whatever?
Yes. So once you go from decisions to making choices, which I feel that happens in personal development, is you're given an opportunity now to start making choices versus decisions. And the way I feel about choices versus decisions is you're wanting to do something, but it's not really happening. When you start making choices, you're following through with action. And it's the action that's going to move you forward to whatever it is you like to accomplish, whatever goal it is you want to accomplish, whether it's you want to be more in a place of exercising, changing your nutritional program. Those all take steps, and the steps of action. And I'd say, taking baby steps as well leads to action and choice. And that's where personal development is. And it's also realizing that as I mentioned earlier, you're going from simply believing to like questioning why. And when you question, you start asking the whys, you get your answers. And that's coming from a place of consciousness. And so awareness, consciousness, that's where the growth takes place within ourselves. And that's how you're able to establish self-growth, is once you start becoming more aware of what you're doing. And I keep saying over and over, when you change that belief to knowing. And the way to do that, you have to go within, whether it's through some type of meditation, some type of yoga, basically in being in union with it all, and coming from a place of non-duality, knowing that the universe is benevolent, these are all places of growth. When places of growth are also when you've chosen to get out of victimhood.
Thank you. Absolutely. Get out of victimhood. Right.
Right. So I've been there. I've been at all these places, and today I choose to be in gratitude and to be more in a place of presence, awareness, consciousness. I've had the lows and the highs, and I prefer these days to be on the highs. And yet it's about working with the polarizations. These polarizations are here to work with them, not against them. So the more you work with the polarizations, then that minimizes the resistance to what is. How I feel life is it's about not resisting everything that is. When you come from a place of no resistance, you just simply accept it for what it is. These are all places of growth.
Right. So once you accept, if I'm getting this correct, once you accept what is, then that allows you to grow. So how about the concept of imagination, the concept of creating something in your own life that you haven't done previously? All of that comes from the knowingness?
Yes. That comes from the knowingness. Yes.
Join Sandra M. for her live performance of the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow, a toast to love and happiness in life, an uninhibited musical adventure guaranteed to awaken your happiness vibe. Celebrate with upbeat rhythms, love songs, and fun stories, some told by you in the audience. Sandra's musical guest and accompanist, Todd Lowry, sings his hopeful and happy originals. To book Sandra M. and the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow, email sandra@sandramcknight.com. Celebrate happiness with Sandra M.
This has been a wonderful conversation because I know that people are going to, if they're listening to the introduction to our podcast, they know that you have been through a major accident that has caused you to be in a wheelchair. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, for a good part of your life. So I would like to just know, as we come to a conclusion here, how do you feel about that experience? And obviously, it is what it is. You had to deal with it, right? There was no way of, that was it. So now, what did you learn from that? I'm sure that could be very, very inspiring. I mean, much of what you've said already is extremely, very inspiring to people who are not living in this kind of a reality. So as you had to go through your lows, I'm sure there were some lows there, right? What was the turning point for you? Was it the fact that you realized that you could make a choice or that you had the choice?
Well, I'll keep the story as short as I can to respect our time. So this is really where the story is. I chose to ask for something in life. I didn't know it was going to happen in this particular way, where I was going to end up crashing the motorcycle. And I don't choose the word accident by choice, because when I say I crashed a motorcycle, I'm taking responsibility. I'm not blaming anyone else or blaming myself. I'm simply taking responsibility. It's what I enjoy doing. I had fun doing it as a motorcycle racer. But there was a point in my life where I just simply looked around and said, gee, there's got to be more to life than what I'm doing. What is it? So I simply went into prayer and went before God and says, I want you to prove it to me that you are real and that you do exist. I could care less how disastrous it is. Well, it wasn't 2 months later. I wake up laying flat on my back, feeling my legs going numb on the side of the motorcycle track there, and realized, well, guess what? Even through what I was experiencing at that time, the trauma, etc., I was still so coherent, and yet I was like, you know, Kenny, what you asked for, you just got it. And so there was really no looking back, because it was a choice that I made, that I was looking for something new in life. Didn't know what it was going to be. Those are the unknowns, and life is about the unknowns. But I'll tell you what, it's been a great awakening, and I'm not looking back. I've been able to continue on with life, and I'm in gratitude for the fact that I'm breathing, I'm still moving, whether I'm propelling a wheelchair with mainly my upper body, but it's given me so many, many opportunities, like this opportunity you and I are having right now.
Is that how you want to end this podcast? Because it's a fantastic statement. Life is about the unknown. It was a great awakening for me. And did you say you never looked back?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I have no regrets. I have no regrets about the past. I'm in gratitude for today. And I know what I simply asked with that small prayer, being bold enough to do so, I simply have received what I was asking for. It's not something I recommend, but I'm basically a living example of the words that we use, the power in our words. I'm a living example, like, hey, you know, if this is what you choose, no matter how disastrous it is, well, you might want to be really careful with the words that we use. And so I'm a living example of the power of words.
Something new in life, right? Is what you asked for?
Yes. And that's the life that I'm living today.
Thank you so much, Kenny, for this wonderful podcast. You have so many insights. I don't know if you have it in your goals to become a public speaker, a motivational speaker, but I think you do a brilliant job.
Well, it's a goal that I have, and I see myself doing that. I envision myself doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on our podcast. I appreciate hearing all of your wonderful insights, and I know our listeners will also.
Thank you, and you're welcome for the opportunity.
What we eat affects our overall physical health. However, some foods also affect our state of mind. For example,
carbohydrates release serotonin, a feel-good hormone. High in sugar simple carbs give you a short energy rush, which often is followed by a crash. Complex carbs, veggies, grains give more sustained energy.
lean meat, poultry, legumes, and dairy are high in protein and release dopamine and norepinephrine, which boost energy and concentration.
Processed or deep-fried foods and skipping meals tend to leave you feeling down.
Make one better food choice each day. For example, swap a sweet breakfast pastry for some Greek yogurt with fruit.
You'll still satisfy your sweet tooth, and the protein will help you avoid a mid-morning energy crash. Try adding in a new food swap each week.
Newsflash. Please sign up for your copy of Our Keys to Happiness at sandraMcKnight.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow podcast. And if you enjoyed the conversation, please help spread the word by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. Before we go, I'd like to thank today's guest, Kenny LaCome, for sharing his happiness story. And to share your happiness story on the Celebrate Happiness Roadshow podcast, send an email to sandra@sandramcknight.com.
Turn your smile on, you can't go wrong.